I've got a cappuccino here as well, so I will be taking swigs of my cappuccino. People who've been in class with me will know about my addiction. I try to figure out what the best way of doing this is. Now, I'm very lucky in that I had, in fact, lectured this in first semester. Now, obviously, I can't show you the exam from first semester because that would be unethical. But what I wanted to share was the actual rubric for the questions. And we are likely to get a similar rubric. And in order to do well, you need to understand the rubric. And there are also a couple of strategies to adopt. So tonight is more about exam strategies, stuff to avoid, than me trying to give a summary of the entire year or have an overview of the entire year. So some of the good things about the semester so far: the assignments in general have gone very, very well. I think most people have, in terms of both assignments, arrived at a really, really good average. And if you add your ICE into that, then obviously all of you are in a very good position. The truth is, I think we have a real chance of setting a record in terms of the number of distinctions and getting the number of, Kim, thank you for echoing that, and getting the number of distinctions as high as I'm hoping it will be depends on a couple of things in terms of your strategies. There are a couple of things to avoid. The first one is, please avoid at all costs direct quotes. We do not give marks for direct quotes, even if they are referenced properly. So direct quotes don't get any marks. You need to paraphrase absolutely everything. The second thing is, make sure that you get your referencing right. I am concerned that I'm still encountering third years who cannot reference. Even at an honors level, I encounter people that can't reference. I also lecture in the postgraduate space, and even in the PG dip space, we have challenges with referencing. Get your referencing right. Things to avoid: do not use a paraphrasing tool. Honestly, it is simply just bad taste to use a paraphrasing tool. I know that all of you have got access to Grammarly, and if you've got the paid version of Grammarly, then you've got the paraphrasing tool available. Guys, it's unethical. We will catch you. It becomes a real issue from a lecturer perspective. This is your work. This is not someone else's work. Please also stay away from ChatGPT. I know that people feed answers into ChatGPT. The truth about ChatGPT is, the longer the answer, the worse the quality of the information becomes. Again, if you're going to cheat, then this is really not the place for you to be. So please avoid those. The lecturers are so attuned to catching people out in terms of those things. And I don't want to start on a negative foundation, but I think it's important to know that this is an important phase of your studies, and a lot of you will finish after this particular semester. And also, a lot of you have really got good marks. So we're sitting with great marks, and we don't want to mess it up by doing something silly. In terms of the exam itself, another have to avoid is this. And I don't know why people default to doing this. Now, this is what you have to avoid. So if you get asked a question on the, let's say the question is on the cost leadership strategy, if you just do that, you are not going to get the greatest returns, because you don't know whether what is there. And in particular with bloody Indeed, because I see Indeed too often. Remember, these are blogs, these are opinion pieces, they are not peer reviewed. So be very, very careful to default in terms of these kinds of searches. Your first search is not on Google. Your first search should be within the slides that you created, the summaries that you created. So please, please be careful. And yes, I can read there that that's a reasonable presentation of what these are, but it's not the point, guys. Indeed is not a peer-reviewed site. It's not something that we would want you to use. And sadly, I know that there are some indeed references in the assignments. My students know that I get incredibly irritated when you do this kind of search. If you want to default to Google, then you can type in something like this, but I still don't think it is ideal. Scholarly articles. So if you go scholarly articles, you should get a better in terms of the answers, and you'll see all of those are peer-reviewed or at least well-researched sets of sources. So be very careful of Indeed and any blogs. My favorite was last year I had someone use fool.com, and if you're using fool.com and you're going to take answers from there, well, I'm not allowed to say what I thought. Right, so to look at how to approach the search, I have asked, and I didn't get hold of all the lecturers, but I've made slides available to my students. I'm quite happy to share these slides with everyone. So for me, the first place to start in terms of getting your answers right, once you've read the questions, once you've read the scenario, once you've spent a bit of time on the questions and the scenario, is to have this kind of setup. So all my students will have their slides like that. And for me, if you have your slides in a folder, a lot of things can go right in terms of your research. So for me, the exam strategy based on what we have here is that we see generic strategies theory. So for me, I would do that. We'll see, and we sort of know where they are anyway, but there will be obscure questions, and there should be some sort of render on that. So we know that it's Learning Unit 1, and then based on that, you can go from there. If it is about your differentiated strategy, then the next search would be, and we'll give this a chance to open. It's just doing my slides to do this, Control F. I'm just going to look for differentiated, if I can spell it. I don't know if I've even spelled that right. Okay, that should be fine. And if we go through that, it should take you to where you are. So no, it's going to find there's differentiation, not different levels. And I'm working through it until I find differentiation strategy. Guys, please make sure that in terms of this, that this is the strategy you follow in finding the answers. Do not default to Google because it is not ideal. I'm quite happy to share my slides with everyone. You'll see my slides are incredibly comprehensive. They are, in fact, a summary of the textbook, which, yeah, they shouldn't be, but this is for exam prep, and I don't particularly care right now. Can I just see, would anyone want a summary, my slides? Okay, what I'll do is if the other OTs are happy, I'll upload it onto the OT group, our WhatsApp group, and then they can share that with you. If you guys don't mind. Kim, are you okay to do that?
100%. Thank you so much, Henny. We'll appreciate it, and I'll make sure my students also get it.
Okay, thank you so much. And I've also spoken to someone else, one of the other OTs, Dion, and he's also indicated, I don't know if Dion is here tonight, but he's also indicated that he's happy to share these slides. Tsecho, unfortunately, is not well, but I'll chat to Tsecho during the course of tomorrow. So I will make the slides available, guys, so please don't worry about that. One of the things that people have been caught on in this particular learning unit is this here. Please make sure, and I've made this available, that is a lovely summary of all the strategies. In fact, to me, that is my default setting if I had to get a question on generic strategies. The one mistake that has been repeated a number of times over the years is when people are asked how to do the evaluation of strategies. Remember, those are the criteria that you will use. Please, in terms of appropriateness, you don't need to go into the SWOT matrix, decision trees, etc. So don't worry about that rubbish at all. Your focus would be on the actual main points. So ignore all of those and then look at feasibility, etc. Okay. So unless you get asked to do a SWOT analysis, which I seriously doubt whether you will, but I'm not making any predictions, just remember, in terms of this specific learning unit, this is one of the headaches that we had in terms of evaluating strategies. Right. The second question, just to go through what I have in terms of the search, and I just want to go back to that rubric. Okay, two elements. There is the theory element, and you'll see that that gets given 4 marks, but the application and your ability to integrate the actual bits from the case study into the exam is what gives you the chunk of your marks. So this is easy because you can take that out of the slides. As long as you've actually identified the correct strategy, you should be fine. It is your ability to then integrate the application bits from the actual slide and from the actual exam and the scenario into your theory that becomes very, very, very important. So be very, very careful in terms of selecting the right bits of information. Right. This one is a little bit of an obscure question. And again, so if we look at my key search there, my apologies, guys, I've just come from the dentist. My key search there would be successful, and I'm going to hope that I'm going to find that in my slides, and if I don't, I'm going to look like an idiot, which is not going to be the first time. Let's just see what I have. Okay, so I think successful strategy. It's not going to be architecture. I think, where is that? I think it's this one. Let's just open it. Control F. There it is. Okay, so this one is very easy to find. There it is in my slides. There are the actual original authors in terms of this article, and there is the answer. If you had to do that, if you had to search successful organizations in terms of Google, let me tell you, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of rubbish. So for me, my slides is your default setting. My slides is the first place you go and try and find the answers for these. So again, the process is very simple. Look for the core word, look for the key bit in the question, and then go and find the answer. Again, if you look at here, the mark allocation, okay, 9 to 12 marks, so a lot of theory expected, and then the application slightly, here 4 marks, the theory will always be less and the application would be more. Why have they reversed that? Why have they reversed that? Just be very careful to have a glance at the marks. Okay, I would have reversed that, but that's not serious. Again, in terms of just checking my slides, if we look at growth, which is the key word there, again, we should find growth. It's going to be as part of grand strategies. Okay, where is growth? Yeah, there it is, corporate level strategy. And then the same thing. I'm not going to do it again after this. I just want to test my slides. So they are there they are, the growth strategies. Key in terms of that is finding the right or the correct growth strategy, and then describing it, and then linking it to the actual application bits in the scenario. Just to go through the specifics of the rubric. Go through the specifics. Sorry, I just want to take a swig of my cappuccino. Right. So in terms of the rubrics, this is what we are given and have to work from. So we are given, obviously, some sort of, yeah, Kim, I like that comment, because this is my umpteenth year of doing this, guys. With these take-home exams, people default to the wrong place in terms of searching for the answers. So just to look at what we are given to work with as markers, there's obviously a memo attached below, and I won't show the memo, but this is what will give you 4 marks. And then in terms of that, we are then given this as the counter for that. And we are looking in terms of the application bits where you get your real marks in terms of linking it to the correct theory, and then also through the application actually indicating to us that you understand what you're doing and that you understand the actual theory. Because the only way to really show us that is that you're able to select and choose a bit from the scenario that shows us that you can link theory to application. And then obviously here, relevant and presented in a logical order. So key in terms of the exam as well is your layout. Please, please, please make sure that you use paragraphs. It frustrates me immensely when I look at a page and it looks like somebody's taken a roller and just rolled words onto the page. Please give us paragraphs. Please use headings and subheadings if you want. Remember, we will each have between 50 and 100 papers to mark. So you have to make it easier for us. And the best way to make it easier is to get your font right, is to get your line spacing right, and then also to make sure that you use the subheadings. Sorry, I don't know why that happened. So if we look at the questions that came up, so here, drivers globalization, that was one of the questions, just to see whether my slides are good enough again. And this is really just a test of my slides, guys. My apologies. Let's just go drivers, because that to me is the key word. Gosh. Okay, so it would be strategic global advantage. Sorry, it's taking a second to open. F. And there they are. Okay, guys, so this sounds a little bit arrogant, but I think each of the OTs are arrogant about their own slides. Trust my slides, trust your OT slides. Whether you use my slides, Kim's slides, I don't really care. Just trust and default to this. If there is not enough information in here, then obviously you have to use the textbook. Please don't copy and then put this into a paraphrasing tool. That also annoys us. Okay. So if we look at questions you are likely to encounter, yeah, strategic leadership, it is a question that makes an appearance every year. If you look at the slide, strategic leadership will be learning unit 5. You'll see again that I have got it summarized quite comprehensively. The one thing that I want you to be very careful of in terms of this is you may either get that as the question, 8 key responsibilities, and you can work through those, or you might actually get a sub-element of the question that they sometimes ask. And it is, yeah, they love asking visionary and strategic and managerial leadership. and it's this one. Please be careful of slide 21. This sometimes is the actual question instead of the entire chapter, and it has to do with the ideal organizational system. I would be very surprised if that's not the question or elements of that. So be very discerning in terms of what you read and what you look for. This is in terms of strategy implementation. They love asking that, and people sometimes go wrong by answering with those points there. So be very, very careful of that. That's the sub-element of that. That could also be a question on its own. Right. And then organizational culture. So in terms of, yeah, we know where it is. On my slides, sorry, I'm boasting about my slides. No, not really. Be part of Learning Unit 6. Where is that? Organizational culture. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. So there's organizational culture. Guys, remember they're different theories. Just make sure that you get the right one. There's Lee and there's Shine, and there are a couple of those. But you'll see that the question will be pretty obvious in terms of that. Slides I'll share immediately after the class tonight. And remember the specifics around the theory and the specifics around the application. Be very, very careful of the next one, because again, this is the difference sometimes between passing and failing, especially when you've had a wobbly exam. Make sure that you edit your document. Make sure that you have an introduction, that you have a conclusion, and make sure that you keep your layout pretty decent. In terms of synthesis, I think here we look at the idea of you're showcasing your arguments, the golden thread in terms of the questions, that if you start with differentiation, you don't end up discussing focus strategy. That's what we mean by golden thread, that everything logically links back to everything else. It is a term that we rather use in research. So if you have Paula or anyone like that, she would have spoken about the golden thread. And then the substantiation, yeah, it really is for us to give a heck of a lot of marks in terms of your attention to detail. This is, yeah, it's going to be a challenging exam, but it's a third-year exam and it deserves to be challenging. And as I said, a lot of you are sitting with really, really good marks at the moment, and we don't want to mess it up whatsoever. Right. The one thing I'm also asking my students to do, and I think it is a rule for every single person, is to make sure that if you, or when you are ready to submit, that you edit your document, even if you just use, let me see if I can steal anything here. Yeah, I'll just steal this one. No problem, Kim. Enjoy. Guys, please remember that before you submit anything to us, please run the editor there. It should pick up stuff. Okay, now I'm sure there are no mistakes in that, but it will highlight errors in terms of those. My students know not to submit anything unless they've edited it. Let me see if I can find another document to load that. Yeah, sorry, I have so many documents in here. Hold on. Can I just assume that everyone knows how to use the editor function? Let me see if I can, yeah, that's also useless, sorry. And those I can't show you because the exams that I set. Oh, wonderful. I'll just open a past project. So the editor function is there. Okay, and you can see there's some spelling issues. I'm pretty sure that the spelling issues would be American versus South African, and you work through each of those until you fix it. Right, so this is South African spelling. You have to work through each of those before you submit. So please make sure that before you submit that you get 100% at least from, and it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but at least from Word. Right, everyone, any questions from your side, anything specifically that you want me to attend to? Because it's impossible to go through everything, and I'm trying to just make sure that we get our strategies right. Any questions, any comments, any concerns? Guys, it can't be that you don't have any questions or concerns. Are you deliberately keeping quiet now? Okay, guys, that's what I have. That is what I have. I really don't think I can do anything. Oh gosh. Yeah, in terms of the release date, I don't know when the date is, but guys, it's normally released around 10 o'clock. So don't wait till midnight. It's normally released at about 10 o'clock. So sitting waiting till midnight is not worth it. Please remember, my group knows that they need to share the exams the moment they release. But guys, 10 o'clock. Keep an eye out for 10 o'clock, not 12 o'clock, okay? Okay. Pleasure, Candice. Anyone else? If there are no other questions, guys, all I'm going to say is don't mess up a really good year mark. I think a lot of you have done. Sorry, Sandra, who is your OT for that? Is it one of mine? Oh gosh, please tell me. Okay, Tsecho is not well. I'll chat to Tsecho tomorrow. Yeah, Tsecho is not feeling well. So I think, yeah, sure, Sandra, I'll chat to her tomorrow. Okay, I'll chat to her. But I don't think there should have been many issues with assignment. Okay. Okay. Well, it should be released. I'm going to stop sharing because I finished